upload it. And then just really quickly, I want to go over bursitis, just like in a nutshell, what it is. Do you know much about what it is, Trudy?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So basically, like we have them everywhere. We've got like heaps of them all over our bodies. Yeah, and I'm assuming you're talking about subacromial bursitis in your shoulder. Yeah. So we've got your collarbone here, right? And it goes dunk over there. And then you've got your shoulder blade on the back, and you've got a little bone that comes across the top called your acromion. So that's why it's called subacromial, because it's the little bursa that sits between your collarbone and the acromion, which comes across. Okay. So it's like in the middle, it's like a little pillow. Yeah, exactly. So when you lift your arm like this, it stops the bone rubbing against the bone, essentially. However, if you've got a small space there, which is very common in people, everyone actually, because we're all in these forward movements, right? Like we're always in our car or on our phone or on the computer, or like if you're waitressing or something like that, you know, like everything is like this. So what happens is your pecs and everything at the front get tight, everything at the back gets loose and long and weak usually. And what happens is it changes the bony structure and there's not a lot of space in there. So what can happen is like overuse, and it's usually like when you've got your shoulder forward like that or something, can inflame it. And then what happens when it's inflamed is every time you lift your head or do the thing that you did that inflames it, it makes it worse. And it's like this ongoing saga of pain. The things you do to fix it when it's flaring, not a lot, because we just need the inflammation to go down. So taking anti-inflammatories, sometimes the cortisol shots work really well. However, if you do get one, don't do anything with your shoulder because you can't feel it for like up to a week sometimes. And then that's when people often mess it up again. When it's not hurting, passive hanging, awesome for it, as long as you can do it without pain. We need to open up the pecs and strengthen them. So we need to get them longer and stronger. And we need to get the back muscles to be working properly. So things like pull aparts, P-bar push-ups, dumbbell bench press, not really barbell bench press. You can't achieve the same positioning, but anything that's going to open your shoulders and strengthen your back. And then what happens over time is a little bit more space is created between those bones, which allows more room for movement, because we've also got all of the tendons and ligaments and stuff like that for all of your rotator cuff that go through there. And there's 4 muscles in your rotator cuff. So it's a lot going on. So for right now, if you can avoid doing the things that hurt it, that would be great.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've done it so badly that I've like all of in here is tight, all of these muscles, all of my neck muscles, I'm like stiff as a board.
Yeah. So
this morning I couldn't even turn my head, but now I've had a massage.
Yeah, you have.
And I can do that. I have, yeah. I had BMT, which is like that bioelectric massage that just stimulates the muscle.
Yep.
And I've had that for it before. So she's just gone in and tried to take all the inflammation off everywhere else.
Yeah.
Because like the arm's fine. I can move that. It's just because I think what I was doing is because there's not much pain in the actual bursitis part. I've been protecting that while I've been doing all the workouts and while I've been doing like my dance classes. I've been thinking really about like using everything else to like hold it in place and like not flare it up. And then in doing so, I've actually overdone everything else.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, great.
Well, that's actually not bad, because you should get relief more quickly than if it was a really bad flare up of bursitis.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's good. I'm just gonna, I might just put my chair down to see if we can get that annoying light that's behind me. I have a sit stand desk, guys, because I'm super fancy. So I'm just gonna put you down.
Good. Yeah. Going down.
Going down. But now my chair's too high.
Love it.
I love that that's all on record. If I go like that. Cool. That's a little better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get stuck in. Where is it? There. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is what I said I was doing, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm losing my mind. I haven't had a single minute to myself today, and I just feel like it's 6:30. I don't know how. I honestly don't know how it's 6:30. All right. So HIIT versus cardio, HIIT and cardio versus strength training. And it's in terms of building lean muscle mass and burning fat, right? So that's specifically what we're going to talk about. First of all, arguments for HIIT training. Generally, you will burn more calories at the time during HIIT training than you do for strength training, okay? And this is one of the reasons that F45 and, Shmesh Mordishmaiv and other places like that have such good results with things like 6-week challenges and 8-week challenges, because people go and they go every single day during that time and they are burning more calories than they would be if they were doing a strength thing, okay? But we'll get to that later. So you do burn more calories for sure. Generally, people finish feeling very satisfied, proud of themselves, accomplished, because it's hard. Like it's a hard workout to do. You know what I mean? Everything is faster and harder and higher and whatever. It's time efficient. So you get a lot of work done, scientifically speaking. So work is the amount of like energy we burn, essentially. Let's just call it that, in a short period of time. And that's due to the high heart rate for the whole time. This shouldn't really be in here. This is a con. You only reap the benefits while you continue to do the work. So I have got that in there as an argument for HIIT training, but that's not right. Meaning that once you stop doing HIIT training, you no longer reap those benefits. So you're no longer burning those extra calories that you were in the workout, for instance. Okay. The reason for this is we'll get into a little bit later. Arguments for strength training. Progressive overload is easier to manage, and progressive overload is incredibly important if we want to get stronger, build more muscle, get more lean, continue to burn fat, and all of the good things, right? And the reason it's pretty tough in some of the HIIT things is because if you've ever been to a class, often there's not a lot of time between stations. Sometimes someone might be on the weight that you want, so you have to use a different one. So you can't really measure it and manage it as well as you can with strength training, right? Progress is more clearly defined for much of the same reasons as I just laid out. Like it's, last week I did 4 sets of 10 back squats at 40 kilos. This week, my program says I have to do 4 sets of 10 back squats at 42.5 kilos. There's none of that in any HIIT training. So that's why that's easier to manage. It teaches you patience while you learn a new skill. So often people get a little frustrated, I think, with strength training because they don't understand that it is a skill that you need to work towards in order to actually achieve it, right? Like, and get better at it, so then you can get stronger and build on the skill. And I think it's really, really important. And then once you have sort of got past that initial stage, the benefits are just so good. Becoming a stronger version of yourself is the best feeling in the world. And it really is. Like, you guys will have experienced it at some point. You go to do an exercise you might not have done for a while, and you're like, oh my God, this used to be so hard for me. And now it's a walk in the park. It's a really, really good feeling, because sometimes you can't really tell when you're getting stronger. You will reap the benefits even if you take some time off. So like I said, here, you only reap the benefits of HIIT training while you continue to do the work. The good thing about strength training is you're building muscle. So you're building muscle, and by building muscle, you increase your basal metabolic rate. So if you forget what that is, I suggest going and watching the video on TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. That explains it a lot more. It's a whole nother call, but all you need to know is the more muscle mass you have, the higher your basal metabolic rate, or the higher your metabolism, which means the more you can eat, essentially, without gaining fat, which is good. Cool. Benefits of strength training, particularly for women. So that's pretty much what I went over just then. More lean muscle mass equals a higher basal metabolic rate, and then TDEE lesson. The reason that this is important is because it helps us to manage our hormones, especially after the age of, unfortunately, the early 30s. It helps us to maintain strong and healthy bones. So basically, strength training is the #1 mechanical way to stimulate strong bones. Okay. And the reason for that is if you think about your bicep, it attaches up here and it attaches down to my forearm. When I pull and I what's the word I'm looking for? What's that word? Contract. Thanks.
Retract, contract. Yeah.
Yeah. A+. When I do that, it's pulling on the bone of my lower part of my arm, right? And what that does is it signals the bone to actually lay down more bone cells and make the bone stronger. So you've got that all over your body. That's just a very basic example. So that is why it's literally the number one way to stop osteopenia and osteoporosis, or slow them down anyway. And unfortunately, after the age of around 32, our bone mineral density, being females, because we've got it so lucky, is on the decrease. Once you enter, like for me, I'm 40 this year, and perimenopause is a very real thing that could begin in the next few years, which is absolutely wild. It's crazy. Strength training will help to manage your hormones as well. So your estrogen in particular, it helps to sort of manage that and keep it a bit more regular. Oh, I've gone ahead of myself. Having more lean muscle mass helps to regulate our moods and hormones and reduce stress. There you go. It's a much more concise way of saying it. Again, going back to being and feeling capable of your own body is empowering. And it really is. Like, there's just nothing better than feeling like you're capable, feeling like you can do the task at hand or whatever. You also have a less chance of injury and less aches and pains, other than the aches and pains that are caused from strength training. But you do have less chance of injury. And in my experience, when you do get injured, I don't want to say if, because injuries are a part of life, I believe anyway, but when it does happen, the road to recovery is a lot faster. The more strength and flexibility you have, then potentially the less severe the injury is, and the more quickly you'll heal from it, because everything in there, ligaments, tendons, cartilage, etc., are strong and healthy, right? So that's a big one for me. Like, I tore my meniscus doing jiu-jitsu, and within, I think it was 6 weeks, I was back to getting full range squats again with weight on my back, which was huge, because like I couldn't even touch my knee the day that I did it. And I thought that was awesome. Will cardio kill your gain? So I think this was actually a question that was submitted by a member a while ago. No, basically is the short answer, because a lot of people, when they're trying to build muscle, think that doing too much cardio is going to kill your gains. It's really not, but it doesn't need to be intense like I've got here. So cardio can be walking. Long walks are really good. If you do intense cardio, I recommend keeping it under 15 minutes, to be honest. 10 to 15 minutes a few times a week, if you really like HIIT training, is plenty, is enough. And then long steady state cardio in terms of burning fat is a lot better. And the reasons for that is because it is it's a lower effort exercise. So you can go for a walk, like even if you're just exhausted, you know what I mean? You can always get up and go for a walk. It's easy. You just drag your feet around. It's also, you can accumulate it. So if you don't have time for a 30, 40-minute walk every morning, but you do have time for a 10 or 15 in the morning and in the afternoon, then you can do that. They don't have to be together. You know what I mean? And to summarize, so basically it's hard to progress with training because it's hard to manage what you've been lifting, remember what you've been lifting, and then apply progressive overload. Our muscles require stimulation in order to grow, and our bodies are designed to be efficient and to store fat. So they get used to loads. So if you continually lift the same set of the same reps of the same weight, doing the same thing, you might progress a little bit for a short amount of time, and then you just will stop progressing because your muscles will not need to get any stronger. This is where progressive overload comes in and why it's important for flexibility, mobility, and strength training. And then, I've just said what I said again. It's definitely a good workout cardio finisher. Once or twice a week, 10 to 15 minutes is plenty. Questions, your turn.
I think it's pretty good.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's good because I hate HIIT.
Yeah. And honestly, I feel like most people do, and then something happens. Like you get a good endorphin rush, I think. And I think people continue to chase that. Which is fair enough. I used to be a little bit the same, but then I discovered strength and flexibility training and realized I didn't need to feel like crap. And it's better. I feel heaps better.
I did F45 for a while and I just got too many injuries.
Yeah.
Because what you're saying that between the different groups is so fast and I could never get the weight I wanted.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it wasn't good for me.
They pride themselves on big classes. And to me, I don't think that's something to be proud of. I would rather have a small class, you know. But,
yeah.
The movements like between each thing is too fast and no one's doing it like at a level that's either proper or the right form.
Yep.
And that's where injuries kind of come. It's
exactly.
too much is going on. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And like, look, nothing against it. I am all for anything that gets people moving and gets them reaching their goals. And, you know, if that's the thing for them that gets them into fitness, then that's great. However, I do think it just needs a little bit of tweaking to the current business plan, let's say, because when we had Pegasus, we had a lot of people come from gyms like that with like pretty bad injuries. And that was just what we were getting. You know, so we want to try, like I said, you can't avoid injuries, but I mean, you don't need to tempt them. And I feel like
I don't recommend it.
Yeah, I've actually never done a class. That's pretty crazy. Hey,
that is. I liked FS8.
Oh yeah,
the Pilates structure.
Yeah,
it like I picked my days though. I picked the slower days.
Yeah,
where it wasn't so much like moving between the machine and the weights and then back to, I picked the days that were like flow and I'm like, cool, I can do a bit of yoga and there's a bit of that and then there's that. So I got picky about it.
Yeah, and that's good.
Like, I like the reformer and I like the mat, but when it's like weights and reformer and I was like, oh, but
yeah, it's a lot, right? And then you're just trying to keep up, then that's just
like,
it's no good. Any more questions, guys, about anything at all? Maybe why is my camera quality so bad?
Well, I don't know. I'm like, I don't think I've had Zoom on my Mac, but
you guys are both pretty good. It's just me. It must be because I'm just really backlit.
Maybe it's all the light. I think
it could be the light.
Like it's not bad, but I think it's like just.
No, I need to sort it out for sure. I need to need a little lamp. Yeah. All right, well, thank you for joining. And we've got one call left next week, so hopefully the other two make it as well, you know.
Well, thanks so much, Roxy.
No worries, guys. Have a good week. Send me some videos.
Okay. Thanks, Roxy. Bye.
Bye.